Okay, hi. Now let's talk about the test out assignment. Okay, if you look at the week number 1, the test out assignment is you're supposed to complete 3.5 chapters. Maybe it's less than half, but anyway, if you finish these sections, right, you have to log into test out. Okay, so let's just look at the test out. So if you want to log into your test account, and you'll see the test security pro, right? I mean, you see you'll see that the list, this what is that? The list, right? So if you click this icon, you will see all the chapters, chapter 1 through chapter 9, right? And if you look at, let's say, chapter 1, and this play icon, right, that means this is a video lecture. So for example, when I click this video lecture, and I usually choose the second option, play with the interactive script.
Welcome to Test Out Security Pro course.
So there's a video lecture, right? And then there is a summary note or the fact, right? The summary note or fact. This is a summary note. It summarizes the previous video lectures. So this is important for you to review. At least spend let's say at least a couple of minutes to review, to read this, right? And then at the end of each section, there is a practice question. So for example, so there's no time limit, so you can start the exam, right? And then you can take the exam. This is multiple choice questions. And then score exam with unanswered questions. Okay. So basically, as you can see, each section has a video lecture, and then at the end there's a practice questions. If you look at the chapters, let's say look at the chapter 6. Chapter 6 is very important. It's about network security. If you look, let's say look at the 6.2, the video lecture, right? Then it's followed by let's look at the 6.5. There's a two video lectures, and then the facts, the summary, right? And then I think this is, let's see. Oh, this is another video lecture or demonstration. Oops, I forgot to look. Sorry. Okay. And then let's see. The host and application and data, right? Oh, no, actually chapter 6.5 switching security. I mean, yeah. And then for this specific section, there are the icon means a lab. So you have 3 labs, right? So let's just click the first lab. And then this is like a scenario given, right, at the beginning, and then you can start the lab, and you have to wait for a while. Okay, now you can start the lab. Okay, you can start the lab. And let's see. But the problem is that, not many, but, a couple of students, maybe 1 or 2, they're complaining that they cannot really open. Even though they click the link, they cannot open the lab. From my past experience, right, 99.9% of students, 99.999, right? Usually it's a browser issue. Okay, so if you go to the test out, so make sure that you should use the right browser. We have what? Internet Explorer, we have Google Chrome, Firefox, and the 4th one is what? It's Apple, right? Apple uses Safari. Anyway, we have so many different browser, and each browser has a different versions, right? So the combination is limitless, basically. So let's say if you have a problem opening a lab, either you have to make sure that you have to, you change your setup, your setting, right? Security setting, especially the security setting of your browser, or maybe you should use a new browser. Let's say if you use a problem with Firefox, then maybe you should use Google Chrome, right? And then also, let's say if you go to, this is a test out, right? So if you go to a knowledge base, and then there's, just read, go through this and then just read. But let's see, there's a useful link here. Let's see. Oh, how to enable pop-ups for test out at LabSim. So this is used. You should read this, but this is interesting and helpful link. So how to enable pop-ups for the test out at LabSim. So this is for the Google Chrome, and this is Explorer 11 and Safari 12 and Micro Edge and Firefox, etc. Right? So make sure that you enable this pop-up option, okay, for your browser. So here's the how you should do it. I mean, let's say, I think the best way is Google search. For example, if you use Internet Explorer 10 in the Google, you have to say enable pop-ups for Internet Explorer 10 or 10.5, etc. So then definitely you can find the answer from internet. So make sure that you enable your pop-up option for your browser. Okay? But anyway, go back to test tab. Okay, so I'm gonna let's say I'm done. Once you click done, right, it'll give you the score and then there's explanation, right? And then you can print this or you can save it. But anyway, okay, let me just log in. Okay, so now, okay, so that's the, okay, now, if you go, and then, okay, so there are 9 chapters, and at the end, there's a Security Pro practice exam. So this is the exam, right? So do not, okay, do not take the exam, not yet, until I say so, okay, until it's specified in your weekly link, weekly task link, okay? So there's an exam, right? So do not take these exam, not yet. So first, you should focus on these 9 chapters. So make sure that you take a practice questions, right? So for this week, you have to complete all 2 chapters and the 4th section of chapter 3. Chapter 2 doesn't have a lab, and chapter 1 has only like 2 lab, very simple lab. And the first 4 sections of chapter 3 do not have a lab. So, so basically this is the list of the things that you should do when it comes to test out assignment. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now the next one is that you can take test out practice questions in the lab up to how many times? You can take up to 3 times. And then I'll only take the average. So the average will be counted for your grade. Okay? And then make sure that you make a summary note every time because when you take the practice questions or the lab the first time, you can take you can make a summary note because next time basically the second time when you take the test you can look at your summary note, and then I think you can get the full credit, right? And so now, okay, so this is for and then maybe third one, if you want to take the third time, then you can maybe take the quiz third time, maybe right before the midterm or the final exam, right? But from my experience, like not many people take the quiz up to 3 times. Maybe they take it up to 2 times, but yeah. So not many people take the quiz or the lab 3 times. But you can, of course, you can do it up to 3 times to get the to raise your average, right? So at the end, for example, I mean, I'll show you. This is how my TA is going to grade your basically look at your grade. So, at the test start, right? Test start allows the instructor to download a grade. Let's say this is for the student A. So let student B. I don't want to show their name. So student C and student D. So let's say there are 4 students, right? The first student, I can see he spent on this video lesson, like he spent like 7 minutes, right? The second student spent 15 minutes. And then this fact summary sheet, right? He only spent like 1 minute. Wow, this guy spent 44 minutes and 2 minutes and 22 seconds. I mean, this I will consider as, let's say, like 0, right? I mean, 22 seconds doesn't really make any sense to me. So so at the end of the quarter, right? At the end of quarter, I mean, like not the end of, sorry, end of each week, my TA will look at this score. Especially our emphasis is going to be the exam score. And then like this is the exam is a practice question and the lab. So that's going to be my focus, right? So you can take this up to 3 times. And just like I said, I'll take the average. So yes, so I'll take the average. And then for this, right, each week, if there's too many zeros, right, or like for example, this first student, he did not even look at the fact sheet, okay? It's every week, if I see the empty cells, like let's say if I see 5 or more empty cells for each week, I'll deduct the points. Okay, there will be a penalty. So make sure that you watch the video tutorial and then read the summary, note, and then take the practice questions, right? For the practice questions, right, you can take up to 3 times. For the lab, yes, you can take up to 3 times, right? And in addition, except chapter 1, right? Except chapter 1. Let's say for chapters, let's look at chapter 4. All this video, I mean this lab, right? All this lab, I'm going to post the maybe even chapter 1. I'm going to post the hint, right? So that you can expedite, right? You can save your time. So my point is, make sure that you finish this lab, because some of this practice exam and some of the not for the Security Plus practice exam, but for the security practice exam, the lab is very important, right? So if your goal is to get a Security Pro certification, then you should really focus on the lab section, because many of the exam really has they really emphasize the lab activities, right? But our more focus on all these courses on the Security Plus. But anyway, no matter what, you have to finish this lab. For the lab, usually you don't have to do all the labs. I usually gonna say, okay, skip, like for example, like chapter 6, if there's a many labs, I'll say in the weekly task link, I'll say skip let's say skip 6.5.7, right? Or maybe skip 6.6.6. So I usually gonna specify which labs you can skip. Especially in the summer, I don't think you really have a lot of time to complete all the labs. So a couple of, not all the labs, but a couple of, let's say maybe 10 to 20% of the labs. I think, especially in the summer, I think, yeah, I'm going to, yeah, maybe 20%, yes. I think maybe 10 to 20% of the labs, I'm gonna let you skip. So, but definitely the labs that you have to skip, I'm gonna specify them in the weekly task link. Okay. So let's see, is that all? Okay, I think that's about it. So if I need to say something else, then I'm gonna create another video clip, right? But pretty much that's about it. Okay, so let me just stop my video lecture here. Okay, see you. Okay, bye. Let me stop.